You joining me now is one of the leaders of the Progressive Caucus, Democrat from California, Congressman Khanna. Congressman, it's good to have you on. So let me start with your reaction to Joe Manchin's op-ed.
Well, Chuck, I believe Senator Manchin will get there. He always supports the president's agenda at the end. Here's the issue. I mean, the centrists say that it is urgent by September 27th to have our roads and bridges invested in. I agree. But it is equally urgent to get the other part of the president's agenda. It is urgent that we have electric vehicle infrastructure and not let the Chinese win. It is urgent that we have childcare so that women can get back to work. It is urgent that we get lead pipes fixed so that people, young kids in communities of color aren't drinking poisoned water. The progressives actually have the president's back. We're the ones who are pushing the Biden agenda.
Let me ask you this. When you, like I said, when you read between the lines in Senator Manchin, I don't disagree with you. I think at the end of the day, he's going to want to figure out how to get to yes, just like you guys want to get him to yes in various ways. I don't think he's going to be alone, though, among some Democrats in wanting to try to not deficit spend. As you know, there's at least 3 or 4 of senators that will be in that column. Where are you on that? And if that's where we are, every proposal I've seen indicates that the most amount of tax revenue being raised here that's being talked about is in the $2 trillion range. If that's where this bill ends up, is that something you can support?
First of all, we can raise, I believe, taxes on big corporations, on the wealthy, and on estates in a way that would generate more than $2 trillion. Secondly, even Paul Krugman, many economists have said that if you have deficit spending for productive investments that are going to lead long-term returns, that is fine. So I believe that those concerns can be answered. On the inflation concern, look at what Larry Summers has said. He said it's a monetary phenomenon. If you really care about inflation, and we can debate whether that exists, talk to the Fed about quantitative easing. It has nothing to do with this 3.5 trillion number. And one point on the number, it's a 10-year number. It's 350 billion per year. When they talk about defense increases, they always use the 1-year number, 23 billion. Well, they never use the 10-year number. And yet for something like social investments, they always use the 10-year number. Let's talk about the actual 1-year number.
Look, fair point. It's something the White House keeps bringing up behind the scenes. They are concerned that the number itself has almost become too famous. And is that a concern of yours, that in many ways, and whether it's how you guys talk about on Capitol Hill, how we end up talking about in the media, we talk about, hey, it's the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. It's not what the Biden White House wants to call it, Build Back Better plan, or what you guys want to call it. Some of this sometimes is messaging.
I agree with that. It should be the Build Back Better plan. We should say it's a few percent increase of GDP per year. And it is, what does it do? It's for giving people childcare. It's making sure our seniors can have dental benefits. It's making sure people can attend community college. It's making sure that we deal with climate, with the Ida storm. People want to know that we actually have a plan for clean energy, that we have a plan for the electrification of the smart grid. I think if we sell the policies and don't quabble or argue over the large number in itself, we will succeed.
I have to say, as a observer here, I have not understood the motivation of holding back the infrastructure bill. You look at it, this president could use a bill signing pretty badly right now if you look at his poll numbers. And if the only reason this is being held back is because the two sides don't trust each other, then I might look at this and say, well, you're never going to get to yes on either of these, because if distrust is at the center of this strategy, I don't know how you get over distrust.
I think we will get to yes. I think the point is that there are a lot of concerns with the bipartisan infrastructure bill, particularly on climate. People say, okay, we're fine building more highways, but you can't just build more highways if there's not going to be some concern about the climate impact. So let's have electric vehicles. Let's have a civilian core. Let's have some retrofitting. Let's have some clean energy standard. And if you do that, then we're going to build modern infrastructure with climate there. But to just pass, okay, we want to have more highways and roads and not have the climate part, people, including our House Transportation Chair, has concerns with that. But I believe we will get to a yes on both of them.
I want to ask you on the larger philosophy you have on this bill, which is, look, even at $3.5 trillion, you don't get to do everything on your wish list. If things get smaller, Is your philosophy that you include a little bit of everything and just cut down the size? Or do you end up lopping off big programs and do a few things big and right? You see where I'm going here? You know, do you do a little bit of pre-K, or do you say, you know what, we're going to do all this pre-K. We're not going to be able to do affordable housing this round, or something in that? What is your philosophy? A little bit of everything, or a couple of things big and correct?
Which I don't want to negotiate on Meet the Press when our position is the $3.5 trillion, which is actually the Biden agenda. But I will say this. The progressives have always been willing to have back and forth. We have never drawn a red line. And if the question is, what is the priority? I think the priority is investing in the key needs of the American people, in childcare, in dental, in vision being covered in Medicare, in community college being free. And we can look at how long those investments should last and the scope of those investments. I believe $3.5 trillion was already the compromise. But we have never, look, Chuck, we never did something that those 10 centrists did. Name me a time where the progressives have actually threatened to hold up the agenda. And the irony here is that the progressives have the president's back. We're the ones who've been on TV, on cable news, defending the withdrawal. We're the ones who are saying, let's get the Biden agenda passed. His strongest allies have actually been the progressives in Congress.
Congressman Khanna, Democrat from Silicon Valley, actually, not just anywhere in California. Thank you for coming on and sharing your perspective with us, sir. And enjoy the long weekend as best you can.
Thank you. Happy Labor Day.